In Qigong, when we're exercising and we're stretching and we're doing all these things, it's different than in a lot of modalities of the West, because we strongly believe that in order to evolve with this and to allow it to benefit you on a much deeper level, the mind essence must be a part of it. And so there must be pauses. There must be times where you stop and you reflect and you go internal to observe, to be aware of what's going on inside of the body. Also to bring the mind into the body and to direct energy. And we're going to work with a little bit of that today as well, directing energy with the mind. There's a Chinese saying that goes, Yi Dao, Qi Dao, Qi Dao, Yi Dao, which means where the mind goes, the Qi goes, where the Qi goes, the mind goes. And the philosophy of this is that how can you amplify Qi in an area if you can't even feel that area? Secondly, why wait until the area is in excruciating pain in order to then feel it? We have the ability to feel what's going on in our internal body. We have the ability to feel this very clearly and to be very aware of it, that when these fluctuations occur, we're on it like that, rather than allowing the illness to grow and become a severe problem when now you have to deal with intervention rather than prevention. So this type of understanding really starts to enforce a new approach into Qigong in this society as an actual health system. The more that you learn and work with Qigong, the more you will understand that it is actually a health system in its own right. It is a part of traditional Chinese medicine. It is a very integral part of traditional Chinese medicine that unfortunately keeps getting left at the wayside in the West. Not a lot of traditional Chinese doctors really focus on the Qigong side. I personally think it's the most important part of it because it's you working you. It's you healing you, rather than falling back to the dependency of a doctor or a healer or a shaman, whatever we want to consider someone who's going to help us. It's all they're doing is helping us. They're not healing us. Even like Christ was considered probably one of the greatest healers. But really, did Christ heal anybody? Or was Christ putting Band-Aids on people? Someone can walk up very ill and you can heal them on the spot, which would be considered a miracle. The true miracle would be whether or not that person then changed their lifestyle after that. Whether or not they fixed the patterns and behaviors that got them there. Because if they don't change that, they'll go right back to it over time. This is also why someone like Christ or Buddha, they were also teachers. They were great teachers. They didn't just, here you go, you're healed, now you're never going to have a problem for the rest of your life. Someone like Christ or Buddha who was helping these people, they weren't doing it on a level where they could just walk up, heal someone, and that person was healed for life. They taught them. They taught them tools, they taught them lessons that those people could then integrate into their own life. Before Christ's teachings became a religion and were twisted, a lot of his approaches were the self-approach. Constantly was saying, you have the ability to do this. You have the power within you to do this. It was then later twisted, come through me and I will do this for you. Really, it should have said, come to the Vatican, give us your money, and we will pretend to do this for you. It's really what it should have said, but names all get confused in these things. So the approach that we bring forth with Qigong is helping you discover your own self-empowerment, to get back into touch with it, or to get in touch with it if you've never even had it. Now here's the thing though. Sounds wonderful to have self-empowerment, but it can also be very scary. Because if you're an individual who has relied on people, who has relied on the system, has relied on doctors, relied on family and friends your whole life to do things for you, getting a hold of that empowerment at first is very scary. It's like all of a sudden being on an island, okay? That's not really what's going on though, and you're not really separated from anyone. In fact, if anything, your relationships become stronger because of your self-empowerment. So when we even teach non-attachment, Remember, we were getting into the understanding that it's not that I'm actually being cold and no longer connecting with people. It's quite the opposite. I am connecting with people. I'm not attaching myself to them, so I'm not relying on their decisions and the outcomes of their behaviors for my own emotional well-being or spiritual well-being. So how I live my life is based on my own responses, not other people's. And this is where we want to bring ourselves to. Excuse me. Something like Iron Shirt calms us down. When the nervous system is freaking out due to stress, it can really, really hyper-accentuate everything that we're feeling. So if something can slightly set me off, then, in a normal way, then if I'm stressed out and my nervous system is hardwired, then that small thing can make something that's normally this small in my mind become this. Like running a grate on your nervous system. It just after a while becomes so raw in its emotion, in how you respond to it. Or should I say react to it, because really that's what you're doing, is reacting to it. Qigong teaches you how to find that pause so that you don't shift into a reaction, that you settle first and then move into a response. There's a big difference between reaction and response, because a response is brought forth more logically than emotionally. Now, please don't confuse when I say logic as in, the scientific approach, 1 + 1 = 2. Okay? Nothing is black and white like that. Even every logical state that you go through has some type of emotion connected to it. This is why if you go to a scientist and you debunk his theory, he's going to get pissed off. Where's the logic? Right? All of a sudden, they're there dealing logic. You attack that ego, you prove them wrong, they don't know how to handle it. There's their proof that yes, emotion and logic are linked, and they're linked very strongly. In fact, many of us even have to go through some type of healing before we can even go through an actual belief system shift, a shift in our paradigm. Certain things have to be healed first. So this is what we're going to focus on